Seamus's backpack rolled into view. The guard pulled the backpack off the belt, took hold of the top of the main flap, and pulled it down. The backpack peeled open like a banana, revealing the stubby black lines of the suppressed submachine gun inside. "Senor," the guard said, looking up at Seamus, sounding as if his feelings had been hurt. Seamus gestured at the Raven Private Military Corporation crest on his shirt. "I'm not here to empty the rubbish bins, lads." "Yes, sir, but you will have to check your firearms with us before you go up," the guard in front of him said. There was a smile on his face that didn't reach his eyes. "Do I know you?" the X-ray technician asked Seamus. Seamus looked over at him. "I don't think so. This is my first time here." He looked back at the guard in front of him, the dead-eyed man who seemed to be the senior operative. "I did mention I was here to meet with Senor Echevarria? Gordito? The chap who owns the building?" "Yes, sir, but you will have to check your firearms with us to get into the building. There are no exceptions, Raven or no." There was no room for negotiation in his tone. He rested his hand casually on the holstered pistol at his waist. Seamus pretended not to notice. He knew he could draw and shoot all three of the guards in the head before the man behind the desk produced whatever weapon he was sure to have hidden. "I do know you," the guard manning the X-ray machine said, frowning at Seamus. "I've always liked to think of myself as exceptional," Seamus said to the senior guard. He smiled as warmly as he could. "So I'm afraid they go where I go. Perhaps you could call upstairs, check with Mr. Echevarria, or his head of security, Benny Trujillo. I'm sure Benny can straighten us out." He traded a smile for the hard stare of the man for several seconds, until the guard nodded to the man behind the desk. Behind him, Seamus heard the man pick up a phone. All of them stood there awkwardly for several long minutes, Seamus looking bored, until the faint hum of opening elevator doors sounded nearby. Benny Trujillo walked into view, shaking his head. He wore an immaculate off-white suit and seemed to be fighting back a smile. "A gringo with a strange accent causing my men irritation, refusing to give up his guns before seeing Senor Echevarria. Guns, plural. I didn't even need to hear your name to know it was you," Benny said to Seamus. "Irishmen have no accent. 'Tis the rest of the world that suffers from a speech impediment," Seamus explained, smiling. The two men shook hands firmly. The expensive suit was perfectly tailored to fit Benny's trim build, and Seamus couldn't spot any telltale bulges, even though he knew Benny had to have a pistol on his belt. "I know him. I've seen him before, but he says he's never been here. So why is he so familiar?" the X-ray guard said to Benny in rapid-fire Spanish, assuming Seamus wouldn't understand him. Seamus turned to the man. "Perhaps you've only ever seen me naked, and it's the clothes that are throwing you off," he replied in Spanish, liberally colored with Irish vowels. The guard's eyes opened wide, and he seemed ready to jump over the conveyor belt and pummel Seamus when Benny held up a hand. "Naked," Benny agreed, staring at the guard, then looking pointedly at Seamus. "Holding a machete, wasn't it?" "And bugger all else," Seamus agreed. "El hombre con el tyrannosaur?" the senior guard said, jerking his head backward as if he'd been slapped. He thought Seamus looked familiar as well, but had been unable to place the man until naked and machete had been mentioned. A dirt and blood-streaked naked man holding a machete and screaming in the face of a roaring, not-quite-adult Tyrannosaurus Rex wasn't an image easily forgotten, no matter how blurry the helicopter gun camera photo was. "Puta madre." "That was my reaction at the time as well," Seamus said amiably. Officially, all the genetically engineered dinosaurs populating the famed Pangaea amusement park prehistoric zoo in northern Mexico had been killed when the communist guerrillas of La Fuerza had attacked it 20 years earlier. But of course the truth had turned out to be far different. Still, Seamus hadn't been expecting to dance with a T-Rex in his altogether. "You're the Escara who rescued Senorita Echevarria from La Fuerza?" the X-ray man said to Seamus. The guards exchanged a look. Seamus tilted his head toward Benny. "With more than a little help." "Why were you naked? La Fuerza thought I'd be easier to chew." "Did you kill it?" X-ray man said, his eyes wide. "The Tyrannosaur?" Seamus shook his head. "I buried the machete."